Hello, come in, have a seat, make yourself comfy. Today we're going to be looking at the more cue cards, May to August 2020. We'll be looking at different topics, some ideas, some nice language, and some model answers for you to help you speak better English, give better answers, and get a higher score in IELTS speaking. Let's do it. Hello, and my name is Keith from IELTS Speaking Success, and it's great to see you here. Last week we looked at some cue cards from May to August 2020. Today we've got some more of the new ones to help you get more ideas and better language, right? So you can improve your answers. Just to let you know before I begin, if you like this video and the ideas that I've got, you may just like the online course I have on Udemy. It's called IELTS Speaking Success Get a Band 7+, full of ideas. It's a complete in-depth course that can really help you level up your English for IELTS speaking. Go and check it out. The link is below. If you think it's right for you, go for it. Now let's get into those cue cards, and here is the first one. Now let's talk about the next cue card. Describe an occasion when you wore your best clothes. You should say when it was, what you wore, what they looked like, and explain why you wore them. So notice this is to describe an occasion when you wore, so not buying in the shops, but wearing your best clothes, right? Not a uniform, not your worst ugly clothes, your best clothes. So, when do you wear your best clothes? I guess what comes to my mind, things like a wedding or a party, any kind of party, your wedding or somebody else's wedding, possibly graduation ceremonies. I know in some countries they have a kind of uniform, but other countries you may just wear your own best clothes if you want to look smart. Wherever there's going to be a photo taken, you probably want to wear your best clothes. Also, maybe at a job interview, right? You want to look smart, wear your best clothes for a job interview. Just make sure you don't wear the same clothes as Colin. And what else? Festivals. If you have different kinds of festivals, people often dress up and like to look their best, so they will wear their best clothes. Now, language. Let's just sort out the word to wear. So it's pronounced the same as where are you, to wear. In the past, I wore, which is pronounced the same as the shooting, wore, I wore, and the past participle worn, which is the same or, but with a n, worn. Worn, that's a strange sound. I have worn. So we can say I wear a shirt. Yesterday I wore a shirt and a tie. I have always worn a suit for work. Okay. I like to dress up. So to dress up can mean fancy dress and to disguise yourself as somebody else, but it also means to look smart and to wear nice clothes. So I like to dress up when I'm going to a party, right? To wear nice clothes. Or I like to look my best, to look my best. With collocations, we can say to dress smartly, to dress formally. I like to dress casually. I like to dress informally. Different collocations there. And the feeling, I guess, when you're wearing your best clothes is you can feel confident and comfortable. What else? You can say that you look dapper if you're a man. Oh, I looked very dapper. Or if you're a woman, she looked gorgeous, she looked great, she looked wonderful. A very American expression, you look like $1 million. or I felt like $1,000,000 in my favorite shirt with my best tie and my lovely trousers. Okay, let's look at a model answer. So in my 1-minute preparation, I decided to make the setting was the wedding, the clothes was the suit and the tie that I wore, and the event, or kind of what happened, was all about the photo, taking the photos, right? Here we go. And a short tip as well, just before I begin, is I think it's good in part 2 to kind of get straight to the point, right? Because the examiner wants to make sure you're answering the right question. So I think it's good to go straight in and answer the question directly. Watch how I do it. Okay, so a time when I wore my best clothes was actually for a wedding. It was my friend's wedding, actually, and this is going back maybe 5 or 6 years ago. He was an old friend. I've known him for a long time. We were at university together, and he got married several years ago, and this was in Spain. So he invited me to the wedding, and I thought, of course, I need to wear my best clothes. I want to look my best and to make a good impression. And so actually, coincidentally, I had bought a suit kind of several months before for a job interview. So I thought I'll wear the same suit. It was a tailor-made suit. It was a nice kind of dark greenish, almost greyish colour, and it was double-breasted. It kind of fit like a glove. It was really nice. Very smooth material. I wore a white shirt and this nice tie. It was a matching tie, green and white stripes. And I thought it all looked quite dapper, actually. In the wedding, we had the opportunity, of course, for the photos. There was the photo shoot, and as well as the group photo, there were individual photos with the bride and the groom. So I was very pleased because I felt, to be honest, I felt like $1,000,000. I thought I looked really good in my nice new suit, nice matching tie. So when we took the photos, I was very relaxed. I was calm and confident, and I really enjoyed the photo session and the whole event. Actually, it was a lot of fun, and I was very proud to be wearing my best clothes on that occasion. There we go. That's it. Let's move on. Let's talk about goals. So not football goals, but goals as in objectives that you want to reach. And here, describe a recent goal you have set yourself. So notice some of the key words. Recent. So recent is very relative. I mean, that could be a month ago, it could be a year ago. I wouldn't say like something you did 10 years ago. In that case, you can use the example, but just lie. Say it was last, a few months ago. And it should be a goal you set yourself, not somebody set for you, right? So just take a few seconds to get clear about the question. Then if you want to follow the bullet points, you can if you want, but you don't have to. You should say what it was, why you set it, what you did to reach your goal, and explain how you felt about it. Probably very good if you reached it. So what are the different goals that people set, right? Well, there are some very common categories, right? People always have goals about health, right? You want to lose weight or maybe gain weight sometimes. Some guys want to put on muscle, right? Or just eat more healthily. There are always goals around money. You probably want to earn more and save more. We often have goals around productivity. I want to work more efficiently, or I want to work less, play more, or study more effectively, things like that. There are goals around hobbies. Often people want to learn something new, right? Learn a new language, learn a new skill, learn to paint, learn to do acrobatics, whatever it is. And then there are kind of goals around dreams, right? So I guess a goal is something you set. A dream is something you would love to achieve. And it often doesn't happen until you make a goal, right? But things like to be rich, to get married, to be happy, to spend more time with my family, things like that. I actually went on the internet because there's an organization called 43 Things. And it used to be a goal-setting organization. So I was curious to check out the kind of goals that they have. And they have some, the links below, but they have some great things, right? Apart from the ones I've mentioned, things like get a tattoo. Great. I don't have any tattoos. Go on a road trip with somebody. Yeah, I'd love to travel around Europe in an old van and sleep in the van as well. Get married. What else have we got? To run a marathon. Oof, not sure about that, but why not? And here's a lovely one, right? To live instead of exist. Ooh, wow. So let's look at the language. So goals, we talk about to set a goal. I set myself a goal. I resolved to do something. Or I made a resolution to do something, right? Often we use that with New Year's resolutions, but you can do it anytime, right? I made a resolution, I'm going to learn Japanese. Konnichiwa. Or what else have we got? If you're making a goal, you may want to set yourself up for success, which means to make sure you succeed. There are certain things you can do to set yourself up for success. And one of them is to tell everybody what your goal is, because then they will hold you accountable and you better make sure you reach it. So we talk about reaching a goal, accomplish a goal, achieve a goal. We can talk about to stick to a goal, right? To stick at it or to stick to the goal, to keep going. When you achieve it, you can use the expression to pull it off. And that's to manage to do something quite difficult, right? So I was trying to lose weight. I went on a diet and I pulled it off. I did it after 3 months. It's not true, by the way, just in case you're wondering. And here's a nice expression. The odds were stacked against me. That means it's most likely you're not going to achieve it because there are lots of obstacles. The odds were stacked against me, but I managed to pull it off. I lost 6 pounds in 12 weeks. 6 pounds weight, not 6 pounds money. That wouldn't be a good goal. Try and lose all my money. Moving on. Now, as you're trying to stick to a goal, sometimes you may not be able to do that and you may go off the rails. The rails is like the track for the train. And if you go off the rails, right, you get distracted and you don't follow your goal. Or in the end, you may give up, throw in the towel. I decided to throw in the towel or give up. That means just to stop trying to reach your goal, but never give up because you will reach it if you consistently, persistently stick at it. So here's an example. In my 1-minute preparation, I wrote down setting. And the setting was in my last job where I was eating very badly and I decided I needed to change my food. This is a health goal. I'm going to talk about the action that I took. It was around writing a blog to help me eat more healthily. And then I'll talk about the result. So that was my brainstorm. In a minute, this is my answer. I'd like to tell you about a recent goal I had several years ago about changing my diet and eating more healthily. So 2, maybe 3 years ago, I was working in quite a high-stressed job, and I realized I wasn't eating healthily at all. I was often eating out at restaurants, takeaway food. It was all highly processed, pre-packaged food, which, as you probably know, is not very good for you. It has high levels of salt and sugar, which can lead to heart attacks and heart diseases. And I just wasn't feeling good in myself. I felt out of shape and unhealthy. So I decided to make a change. So my goal was to start eating more healthy food. And the way I did that was I decided to, first of all, learn about healthy eating, and then secondly, start to do it. So I wrote a blog. And in the blog, I was writing posts about the things I was discovering about healthy eating, that you shouldn't be drinking soda and Coca-Cola and drinks like that because of the high level of sugar, that you should be eating more home-cooked food rather than eating in the restaurant. And through this process of reflection and learning, I started to change my diet. And I actually started to eat much more healthily. It was quite easy to stick to this goal because I was really engaged and I was really motivated. I wasn't going to give up or throw in the towel because I really noticed that I felt much healthier and just better in myself. And in the end, I managed to pull it off. When I went for a checkup at my doctor after about a year, he said the change was amazing, that I had a really good result in my health checkup. There you have it, a new me. Let's move on. And now the next question. Describe a program or an app that you think is useful. You should say what it is, how you know about it, how to use it, and explain why you think it's useful. So, again, the key words: program, app, useful. Program might be, we're talking about technology, right? So could be software program. You could talk about your Gmail, for example, or an antivirus program you have. You could talk about a software program like PowerPoint as well, if you want. I mean, that's a program we use in computers. Or apps, mobile applications. And here, there's a plethora of mobile apps, right? You've got games, if you're into Minecraft and the like. You've got social media, your Facebooks, Instagram, TikTok, blah, blah, blah. A huge number of productivity tools, like I use Pomodoro, right? The Pomodoro technique, I'm sure I've told you about before. Pay attention. Also, we've got, what else? Entertainment apps, so video streaming. I mean, nowadays, it's amazing, right? We've got not only the old favourites, HBO and Netflix, but now Apple are in on the game. They've got Apple Plus. Disney are at it as well. The BBC, who are making their own, I think, monetized streaming service. Everybody's making an entertainment streaming service. And the great thing with the apps, with most of them, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can download them onto your mobile device. Great. You've got apps for everything, right? You've got apps for scratching your nose, for brushing your hair. You have actually got apps that can open your curtains and turn your lights on. Seriously. But also shopping apps, right? eBay, Amazon, Alibaba, Taobao, lots of those. What else have we got? Health and fitness apps. That's a big thing nowadays, right? You can track, if you've got one of these tracking devices or an Apple phone, it can tell you, you've just put on 3 pounds. You are fat. Oh, right. And it can tell you how healthy you're becoming, how many steps you've walked. My wife has one of these. And she comes home in the evenings and goes, I walked 7,722 steps today. Oh, good. What's for dinner? Right? Useful? Well, now useful, right? It says describe an app that is useful. That's a very, very open word. It can mean anything, right? Useful. We've also got cooking apps as well, study apps, learn a language. I don't know if you use any of those ones like Duolingo, Babbel, italki, Cambly. We've got, who else have got apps? Mesmerize, some really good tiny cards, one I used to use. So you've got study apps, weather apps, news apps, anything at all. In fact, what's quite clever, right? You can take one of the other cue card topics like news or environment or weather or study and use some of the same ideas in this one. Ah, clever, eh? Right. Let's look at some language. Well, we can say it's useful, of course, right? It's handy, might be nice. It comes in handy to check the weather. It comes in handy to learn some new vocabulary. But also, I mean, when we say it's useful or it's handy, right? It's really good to use adverbs to put some emotion and a bit of emphasis, because this is how we speak, right? We don't go, oh yeah, it's useful. It's hugely useful, right? It's hugely useful. Do that with your head. It's extremely useful. But I do that as a joke, but the stress is not a joke, right? It's extremely useful. When we stress the vowel sound, what do? We make it longer. We increase the volume and the pitch, right? It's extremely useful. It's hugely useful. Stressing is actually also making it longer and louder. It's extremely useful, Mr. Examiner. So we can put in adverbs. That's nice. We can say it's a big help. It's a huge help. I couldn't live without it. I couldn't do without it, meaning the same, right? Also, it allows me to blah, 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 blah. This new health tracking device, it allows me to count the number of steps. It allows me to track my health. Alibaba, it allows me to search for everything. Amazon, it allows me to buy things at the click of a button. HBO, Netflix, it allows me to download films onto my mobile device. Great. I've just discovered Netflix, actually, recently. I was thinking about buying it, and then I was on the phone to my brother, right, who lives in England, and he said, have you seen Money Heist? One of these new, right, adventure serial series. It's a Spanish one.
Una obra de arte.
Las manos de un monstruo.
But I said, well, no, I've heard about it, but I've not watched it. I don't have Netflix. And he says, well, you must watch it. And it turns out he's got a family account. So he says, listen, I've got a family account, which means up to 5 people in the family can share the same account. I said, what does that mean? He said, I'll give you the link. You can log in for free and use it. So great. I'm now into Netflix and my brother is paying. Thank you. That's brilliant. So I'm into Netflix and it's great because it allows me to download. No, I don't like downloading films onto my mobile device because my eyesight is so bad. I can't see the screen properly. Right, let's move on. So here's an example, right? Model answer. In my 1-minute preparation, I wrote down what. So it's going to be the iTunes podcast. I'll talk about how it works, a little bit about subscribing, downloading, and then finally why I use it. And actually, it's about learning and relaxing for me. So here we go. One other thing, right? And I'm going to time myself because some people have asked me, some students say, how long should I speak? Is 1 minute enough? Because the examiner does say, I want you to speak. You have 1 to 2 minutes for this. Right. It's really important. You should speak for at least 1.5 minutes. Otherwise, you're missing an opportunity to show off your language. 1.5 minutes is good. If you finish before 2 minutes, the examiner will ask you a short follow-up question and you can carry on speaking. It's great. If you carry on for more than 2 minutes, that's great. The examiner will just cut you off and then move on. Don't worry if they interrupt and cut off your head. Well, worry about that. But if they cut off your answer, don't worry. It's absolutely fine. They just want to move on. They've got things to do. Right, here we go. So I'd like to tell you about an app that I use quite regularly. I think it's hugely useful, actually. It's the iTunes podcast app. And so what it is, it allows you to access a whole multitude of different podcasts that are out there through this one app. So you just go to the same place and you can listen to lots of different things. Basically, when you go into the app, you can search for different topics or the names of podcasts that you like. And then straight away at the click of a button or at the press of a button, if you're on a phone, you can subscribe to that podcast if you like it and you want regular updates. You can also download them to your phone so that you can listen offline later on. I think it's extremely useful. For me, basically, it allows me to learn new things. So I subscribe to a lot of podcasts around language learning, around online technology, marketing, things like that. And it comes in handy because I can listen to these things when I'm strolling around the park or even when I'm cooking at home with my headphones on. So it is extremely useful. And I really like it. I also do listen to some podcasts that are more just for relaxing, like the BBC dramas, the radio shows that they have. I like to download those now and again. And it really allows me to just kick back and relax, especially when I'm in the kitchen cooking at home. And that, my friends, is that. So guys, that's it for today. I hope this video is hugely useful for you and that it can come in handy to pick up some nice language and also to help you practice for your IELTS speaking test. Okay. And just to let you know, right, a lot of the cue cards from January to April are still in place now and still being used. So that's great. You can go to my website to collect and to see the full list. If you take the exam, please do go to the website and let me know what questions you've had. It can be a big help for other students too. Great. And finally, if you've enjoyed this video and you would like more, then go and check out my online course, IELTS Speaking Success. Get a Band 7+. It's a really nice course. It's full of even more depth and analysis to help you level up your English. Go and check it out. And I look forward to seeing you in the very near future. Thank you for joining me. Take care. Bye-bye.